What's happening, tabletop gamers? My name is LeunameGames. Welcome back to LeunameGames. Today we're going to learn how to play the 2 to 4 player family game Takenoko by Antoine Bauza and published by Matagot and Bombyx. A long time ago, the Chinese emperor offered the Japanese emperor a giant panda as a symbol of friendship. The Japanese emperor has now entrusted his royal court members to care for the panda and his royal bamboo garden by planting the land, irrigating the land, and growing 3 different types of bamboo with the help of the imperial gardener, all while trying to handle the unsurmountable hunger of the giant panda. Let's get to the table and let's see what's in the box. To set up the game, place the starting pawn tile in the center of the playing area with the panda and the gardener placed on that tile. The remaining plot tiles can be shuffled and placed in a face-down stack nearby. Place the irrigation tiles, the dye, and all the improvement tiles nearby. Make sure the improvement tiles are separated into their specific piles. Separate all the cards into their separate decks, shuffle each of them, and then make sure they're all placed down in their own separate piles. Make sure the Emperor card is placed nearby. Give each player a player board, 2 action tokens, they can be whatever tokens you want, it really doesn't matter, and then deal each player 1 of each victory condition card. I'll talk more about the player board itself a little bit later. Figure out the tallest player who is playing the game, and then you are ready to begin. On your turn, you must perform 2 things in the following order. First, you must determine the weather by rolling the weather die. The weather die has various bonuses that I will talk about later on, because on your first turn, you do not roll the weather die. You will then perform 2 actions. All the actions that you can perform are written on your player sheet in this box here, and you mark which ones that you do by placing one of your action markers on that location. And this is because you are not allowed to do the same action twice. So you will use this to mark which actions you take to remind you which ones you've taken so that you don't accidentally take them again. The plot action allows you to draw the top 3 tiles from the stack, and you will look at them in secret. You will then choose a tile from the 3 you have drawn and you will add it to the board. The other 2 will be placed on the bottom of the stack, but you get to decide which order that they go on the bottom. An important reminder, when you place them on the bottom of the stack, they must go face down. The one you selected will then be placed into play following either one or both of these rules. Either the selected tile is placed adjacent to the starting pawn tile, or the selected tile must be adjacent to 2 tiles that are already in play. For example, the tile that I first played is allowed because it is adjacent to the starting pawn. I was also allowed to play this tile here because it is adjacent to these 2 tiles. I could not, however, for a plot action, take a tile and place it like this, because this is only adjacent to a single tile. There are 3 types of plots in the game, green, pink, and yellow, and each one of these can only grow 1 stack of bamboos of their color. The irrigation action allows you to draw an irrigation channel. When you draw an irrigation channel, you can either choose to place it in your reserve like this, or you can choose to immediately add it to the board. If you choose to immediately add it to the board, there is a couple restrictions that you must follow. To place an irrigation channel, you must have it first connect from the main pond, and you have to make sure that it is between 2 tiles. For example, I could place this irrigation channel here because it is connected to the starting pond and is between 2 tiles. I could not, however, place it here because even though it is connected to the starting tile, it is only attached to 1 tile going outward. I also could not place it here because it is not connected to the starting tile. This tile here, which I'll talk about later, cannot accommodate irrigation channels. If a player has an irrigation channel in their reserve, they can at any time on their turn place it onto the board as long as they follow the rules that I explained earlier. When you decide to place it from your reserve onto the board, this does not count as an action. A tile is considered irrigated when it follows one of three things. Either the tile in question is adjacent to the starting pawn tile, the tile in question is adjacent to an irrigation channel, or when the tile is a watershed tile, whether it is a printed symbol like this or from an improvement tile. Whenever a plot is irrigated for the first time, immediately add its first section of a bamboo on that tile. This type of growth can only happen once per tile. After all, a plot can only be irrigated for the first time once. The same rule applies when it is a new tile added to the board that has the watershed improvement on it. For example, this tile was just freshly irrigated this turn, so that would mean that this tile would get its first bamboo stalk. This tile, however, was already irrigated because it was touching the pond and an irrigation channel already, so this one will not get its first stalk. The gardener action allows the player to grow bamboo. When you use the gardener action, you will take the gardener from his tile and you will move it in a straight line wherever you want to whatever tile you want. However, the gardener can only move over plots. He cannot move over any empty spaces between them. Wherever you move the gardener to, you will immediately grow a bamboo on the tile that you landed on, as well as each irrigated tile that is directly adjacent to it. For example, if this tile over here was irrigated, when I moved the gardener here, this tile would get a bamboo grown onto it, and then this tile would also get a bamboo because it is irrigated and directly adjacent to the tile where I moved the gardener. In another example, if I were to move the gardener here, this tile, because it is irrigated, would get a bamboo stalk. However, this tile would not get irrigated because it is not adjacent to the tile that you landed on. Keep in mind, the plot that you landed on and the plots that are directly adjacent will only grow bamboo if they are irrigated. In this example, I would take the gardener and move it here. That would mean this tile gets its own bamboo, but this tile would not. Even if it is adjacent to the tile where I landed, it is not irrigated, so it would grow nothing. Also to keep in mind, when you grow a bamboo on a tile, only the tiles adjacent to where you drop the farmer off that have the same color as the one you landed on will grow bamboo as well. The panda action allows you to take the panda and move it in any straight direction that you want, similar to the gardener. However, when you land on a space with the panda, instead of growing bamboo, the panda will eat a piece of bamboo if there are any bamboo there. When the panda eats a bamboo, you will take the piece that he ate and place it in this spot on your player board. Finally, there's the objective action. The objective action allows you to draw a new objective card. To do this, you simply just choose which deck you want and draw the top card of that deck and add it to your hand. Keep in mind, you can only have 5 objective cards in your hand at a time. If you have 5 objective cards, you cannot use the objective action unless you complete one of those cards. There are 3 different objectives in the game: the gardener, the panda, and the plots. The gardener cards require you to grow a certain amount of bamboo in a certain way. For example, this card needs you to get 1 stack of pink bamboo 4 pieces high, and it must be on a space that has the fertilizer improvement tile on it. The panda card requires you to have a certain amount of bamboo eaten. For example, this panda card means you need to get 1 yellow, a green, and a pink bamboo eaten by the panda. The plot cards require you to have a certain amount of plots in a certain pattern. For example, this one requires you to have 3 plot cards in a line that are yellow, and they have to be irrigated. At any time during your turn, you can complete an objective card if the conditions shown on the card are met. To complete an objective, take the objective card that you have completed and place it face up in front of you to let everyone know that you've completed the objective. It is possible to complete multiple objectives in the same turn. Normally, the only thing you would have to do to complete the card is to fulfill the conditions that are written on the card on the board. The one exception to this is the panda cards. To complete a panda card, you have to have eaten the appropriate required bamboo strips on the panda. When you do this, take all the required strips of bamboo that is on the card, return them to the supply, and then you may play the panda card. Once you have taken both of your actions, your turn is over and play will pass to the player on the left. Now that we've talked about all the actions you can do, let's talk about the weather die. Starting on your second turn and going from then on until the end of the game, every player starts their turn by rolling the weather die. The weather die has 5 different showing weather bonuses, and then there is one question mark. The question mark allows you to choose any side that you want, with the exception of the wild, of course. The remaining 5 have a very specific action that you can perform, and I will talk about those now. The sun allows you to perform a third action on your turn as long as it is not the same as the other 2 actions that you have taken. The rain allows you to choose one irrigated tile that's on the board and immediately add 1 bamboo to that tile. The wind allows you to take the same action twice if you want to. Normally you're not allowed to take the same action twice, but the wind can make you an exception for that turn. The lightning allows you to take the panda and move it to any tile you want, even if it's not in a straight line. When you move the panda with the lightning, if the panda lands on a spot with a bamboo, he will immediately eat one, just like if you were moving the panda normally. Finally, there's the clouds. The clouds allow you to, if you want, you may take one of the 3 improvement tiles into your hand and either immediately place it onto the board or place it into your reserve. Just like the irrigation channels, when you place the improvement tile from your reserve onto the board, it does not count as an action. However, there are a couple restrictions that you must follow. First, you must place the improvement tile on a tile that does not currently have bamboo growing there. For example, I could place this fertilizer tile on this one because there's nothing growing there. I could not, however, choose to place it on this one because there is a piece of bamboo here. The other restriction is that you can only have 1 improvement tile on a tile at a time, whether it is printed on or placed on by a player. And once it is placed onto a tile, whether it is printed or placed, it cannot be changed. There are 3 types of improvement tiles: the enclosure, the watershed, and the fertilizer. An enclosure will prevent the panda from being able to actually eat any bamboo that is growing on that tile. The panda can still move across there or stop there, but they just can't eat it. The fertilizer makes it so that whenever you are supposed to grow a bamboo piece on a tile, it will grow 2 bamboo on that tile instead of 1. The watershed will automatically irrigate a tile. However, it can only provide irrigation for itself, and it cannot be used as a spawn point for other water channels. The final round is triggered when a player plays a certain amount of objective cards. When this happens, the player who started the final round gets to take the Emperor card for them, which is 2 points, and then they will finish their turn as normal. Keep in mind, a player can still complete other objectives during the turn in which he triggers the final round. All other players will then have 1 final turn where they can attempt to complete their objectives. Once all the players have taken their final turn, you will then count up the amount of points of the cards that you've completed, and whoever has the most points is the winner. In the case of a tie, the tie player with the most points on the panda cards wins. If there's still a tie, the tie players share the win. And that's everything you need to know in order to play Takenoko. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to learn my thoughts on Takenoko, or if you want to learn how to play more games, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more tutorials, reviews, and unboxings. Thank you all as always so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.